I have two Moss light boards, so one of them will cover this, which is the flasher bar, strobes on either end of it, and 5 RGB lights here. These are from Arnaz, and then Porgy 3D printed me these holders. These are really nice. They're just flat little pieces that the board sits on. I'll take one off and show you guys actually, because it's nice to see. And these are the RGB flashers that Arnaz sells. And then I just went to Marco Pinball and bought the flasher domes. And like I said, Porgy 3D printed me these little plates. If you have a 3D printer, we can get you these plans and you can print them yourself. But there's what it looks like outside. And then there's the board. So I just took one of those little circular RGB boards, hot glued it down to Porgy's piece, put these two together. It snaps in. You gotta force it in there a little bit. And then you can just screw it into the back of your wood piece. This flasher bar is also something we have plans for. You can reach out to me or Porgy. And if you have a CNC or access to somebody with one, you could get this cut and you can put it together. It's 3 pieces. I don't know if my bot's working right and telling you, but just so you guys know, you can change the music. You can request songs, stuff like that. It should be telling you how, but if not, you can request a song with exclamation SR and then space song artist, whatever you can think of. And you know, I shouldn't have dressed up for you guys. I should have totally put on sweatpants and a t-shirt. That's all right. Let me catch up on chat. Any questions on the flasher bar while I'm here? This is basically just RGB connections, and then I've got a Molex on the strobe ready to go. Eventually, I will have Molexes on all of these so that I can just pull this out and do a quick disconnect if I ever need to change a part. And I just lost the tip to my screwdriver. Well, I guess it's not a workshop if you don't lose a tool. Good question. All right, let's see. Good, lots of questions. What drives your button function and button LEDs with DOF? That's going to be the Moss light. So I have 2 Moss lights. A full Moss light is going to be dedicated to that flasher bar. There's that many connections on that thing because each of the RGBs is 4 wires. And then the strobes will go in. And then the second Moss light's going to cover all the buttons up front. So the 2 coin door lights, the launch button, the RGB buttons here, and the 3 buttons on the front. Is it possible to get the 3D print file? Yes. Go to the Discord in my About section that is in orange. Go look for either Smaug Dragon's channel or Porgy's channel towards the bottom and just request it. We'll get it to you. You don't need it. If you don't have a lot of toys, Grief, you could just use the Rig Master. I almost... Notice I haven't used a lot of my outputs over here. I could have, in theory, taken my front buttons and hooked it up to the rig master. I think I was 1 or 2 buttons shy of getting that done, which is why I just modularly added on a MOS light. If you have a very simple setup, you can do everything you need to do with a rig master. Say you just have a couple of flippers and you want to light up your buttons, the rig master will handle all that. You really just need to figure out how many toys you're going to have, how many lights you're going to have, what type of lights they're going to be, and that'll kind of determine how many outputs and what type of outputs you need. Where will the flasher bar be placed? That's going on top of the back box. So up here, you will notice I have 2 beacons. You can barely see them in that picture, but they're green beacons up there. That's going to go in between. About an inch back on the front of the back box, I'm going to have the flasher bar. It'll sit about right. Get around all these cameras. Oops. Just disconnected the main camera. That's okay. It's not very active. So something like that. And then the strobes, the beacons will sit up back behind it, but you won't see them. They're really, the effect is just what you want. You just want the lights. You don't want them shining right in your face. All right, and then you asked about Arna's backboard panel. Are you talking about the Matrix? Kong, I didn't go with those. I went with these. And then I'm just going to build a backboard panel. Let's see. Hold on. I killed my camera. And to get it back, I'm going to have to restart OBS. That's going to suck. Give me just a sec, guys. And excuse me, I'm still fighting being sick, so I'm coughing a lot. So instead of Arnaz's, I bought these. They're flexible. They're very cheap. If I had bought as many of these with Arnaz, I would have spent double the money. But I have a big one and 3 of the small ones, and that will cover the entire width of the back. I just realized you couldn't see any of that. Let me fix that. So they're just cheap panels. There's one big one, and then I have 3 of the smaller ones. But I'm going to put these on a board and then tie them up together. And then wire them in with the addressable side lights that I'll be putting in too, which I'll go into in a minute. You got ahead of me, man. Let me catch up on chat. All right, so that answers Kong. I have a Kale Shield, so I'm assuming... Well, I mean, it depends on how many toys you're running, Grief. Post it to me and Porgy, and we'll help you calculate all the parts you might need. The Kale Shield's different. It has the MOS 8 on it, unlike my Rigmaster, but it also has less native output. It's just different. Each of them, the Kale Shield and the Rigmaster, are made to be modular. So you just start with one and add on what you need as you go. Yeah. So you can get rid of the Wiz if you want and get a MOS light and a mollusk, yes. But if you're talking about addressables, you're in a different realm. You would need... oh, God, I can't remember the version Arnaz sells. There's a WeMOS and a Teen Cab. Is So Teen Cab is what I'm familiar with. For me, I use Mike's Oak PAL board from Oak Micro. So you can't get it anymore, but that's what I have. This is essentially the same thing Arnaz is selling as a Teen Cab. It has a teensy, and then it has the outputs. So this is going to handle my addressables, i.e. the matrix board and the addressable sides. I'm not doing any other addressables. Some people also use addressables under cab and back box. Some people use addressables on the flipper and MagSafe. That's the difference between the MX buttons that Arnaz sells. Those are addressable. And mine, which are the RGB. So mine are still DOF configurable. They will light up green for Ghostbusters. And orange for the, different colors for different games. But the addressables you can make twinkle and change colors while you're playing the game and stuff like that. To me, not worth the money, not worth the hassle, and not worth the connections. With RGB, I just connect it to the MOS light and I go. I don't have to worry about extra power for addressables. I don't have to worry about DOF configuration for the addressable and tying it into the chain of the other addressables I'll be putting in. Link to the... So, Kong, in my channel, pinned, there is a post with all the parts I've used. Direct links and prices I paid. But yeah, Grief, you're thinking right. If you want to power up all the lights, just add a Mollusk and Moss light. You don't need to throw away your Kale Shield and get a Rig Master. Just add on. All right. I have Arnaz's Plunger with his 3D print that he sells. That's this device. And then I just bought a Stern Plunger from Pinball Life. Mine's green to go with my Ghostbusters cabinet. I like the black trim rather than the chrome, but you can use a Bally one. You can use Williams. You can use pretty much any one. With the Stern one, I had to add the adapter plate that comes with Arnaz's 3D print. Catching up on chat. To get light out of the buttons, do you need to make the holes for the buttons bigger? I didn't have to do anything like that. So I have the Virtua Pin leaf switch, which I gotta be honest, I don't like the nylon nut. I've actually, if I'm not screwed down really tight and I'm really playing hard, I can pop this thing out. But essentially, I used the longer flipper buttons, and I didn't drill my holes any bigger. They're just standard size. They're beveled a little on the inside, which isn't necessary because my board sits flat, so it doesn't matter. And the other thing that concerned me that you don't have to worry about, but I was worried about, it doesn't sit completely flat. It looks weird, but it's fine. Oh, and I'm sorry, that edging in there is how the light shines through and allows that to sit flush. You can see it. Did that answer your question, Con? Okay. Let's see. Head that down. Hey, Goobin, welcome. The switches I'm using are from Vpin. They're their Vpin leaf switches, but essentially it's just a normal leaf switch with a 3D printed little riser here. I gotta get rid of that message. There's no tournament. Don't join. It's tricking you. All right, back to the plunger real quick. So the plunger has a connection to the Rigmaster down here. Oh. Interesting. I pulled the wire out. Let me look at that. And the other nice thing I really like about Arnauts stuff is everything is just ready to unplug real quick. All right, so those 4 wires go to the Rigmaster, right? I really need to restart off. Get my camera back, but right here where it says plunger. And then you can connect right here. There is something that comes with his 3D plunger kit. You can't see it, and I didn't put it. Actually, hold on, let me grab it. Well, I can't find it, so you guys are going to have to trust me. But there's a little black piece with a button attached to it that can slide on here. You can then wire that to your buttons. I'm sorry. No, you don't have to wire it. But essentially, when you push forward on the plunger or you do it really hard, it pushes that button and would replace this launch ball button that I have on the cap. So you wouldn't have to have a launch ball button if you didn't want one. I like having it. So